I promised you guys a cut test video on some of the choppers here, so I finally got time this weekend to go ahead and do it. Luckily for me, we had a kind of nasty windstorm, and I had a branch fall off of a tall tree above my shop and nailed the roof. Luckily, I was able to get it here and use it for a cut test. So this branch right here is, I believe it's off a Douglas fir. I'm not 100%. And it did fall off the tree, so it's probably it is a little bit on the rotted side. So as far as cut test, I don't know what it's going to prove because it is dried out. So I'm sure with it being rotted a little bit, it may not be as hard to cut through as a normal fresh dried out branch. So, but I'm going to try it anyway. I do have a 2x4 here. May get into playing with this too. I don't know. I didn't want to make this video too long, but like I said before, we had the Gil Hibben. The Gil Hibben 4, the Rambo movie replica knife, 1090 high carbon steel, 1/4 inch thick, pretty heavy. This is solely gonna be able to. I think I've good. I got high hopes for this because of the weight behind it. That it'll be able to do something, but it is a thicker blade, so I don't know how well it's gonna actually dig in through there. Next, we have the Kabar Zombie War Sword, which is extremely. It's way lighter. It's definitely a thinner blade. So I don't know how much someone would be expecting out of this. Not too much, I don't think. I don't think it was designed to really cut through or do anything close to what the chopping chores that, like, let's say, an axe would do. But we'll try it out anyway. And next would be the Kabar Warthog, which is a little more durable, and I expect it to probably perform as well, or maybe a little bit more. We are sacrificing length of the blade for a little bit of girth, so they may end up being even, I don't know. And last but not least, which I almost caught myself, is this little Chinese no-name machete made out of some stainless steel, which I do not know what type of steel it is. Mystery steel, but it is razor sharp, and this is just, I just threw it in for shits and giggles. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started on it. I'm going to start with the Gil Hibben. Let's see how that works there. Let's see. We'll go ahead. Alright, here we go. First time I'm ever doing a cutting video like this, so it could be an epic fail, who knows. Probably better cut off. Well, as you can see, like I said, the branch was rotted, and this is what it did so far. It got roughly through half of it. I'd say it's probably 2 inches wide, this branch. I was expecting a little bit more. It definitely, because of how wide it wasn't going in as deep and cutting in on every slice, but definitely the weight behind it definitely lent itself to perform a little better. With a thinner grind, I'm sure this thing would probably do a lot better with what I just showed you. I'm not going to cut any more with this. I'll just wait for the 2x4 to continue on with this, because this thing is rotted. I think we're going to have the same issue where I'm going to get halfway through and it's going to break on me. So that's that. Alright, the Zombie War Sword next. Pretty impressed. Pretty impressed. No rolling whatsoever on the edge, and it flew through it. A thinner grind definitely lends itself to better cutting performance on that. So what you may have lost as far as weight behind the swing that you get on that, you gained with performance of the thin grind on this and how narrow it is. I don't know if you could see that. It flew right through it, so I'm pretty impressed with that. That's pretty awesome. It flew right through it. And I guess this area seemed like there's no rot to it whatsoever. It's kind of solid, and this is dried out. So pretty good. It's still 2 inches in diameter, so I think it's safe to say it exceeded my expectations for sure. Next up, the Warthog. Let me put this lanyard on, that way I don't have to flip it around like that one just did. Alright, let's see. Alright. No rolls whatsoever. Still way sharp. Flew through it pretty easy. Amazingly enough, the War Sword actually did a better job at cutting through it than this than the Warthog. Definitely, probably, it has to do a lot with the blade length, I'm sure. This does have a little bit more weight on it, and the grind is a little thicker than that, but way thinner than the Gil Hibben. So, but it did perform the task rather well. But I would say so far that the War Sword is a little bit better than this. So, no rolling on the edge. Now this is the one. Next is the Chinese no-name Machete. I don't expect much from this. This thing may even break when I'm swinging on this. We'll have to see. Okay. Wow, take that for a second. Wow. Surprisingly enough, I don't see any rolling on the edge on this guy, and it did a fairly decent job. I think it would probably, it's in 3rd place, or no, you know what, it may have even tied or actually was better than the Warthog. And with this cut test, it's kind of amazing because I expected the Gil Hibben to perform a lot better than it did, but I think this is one of those things where edge geometry come into play for sure. You know, the thinner that grind is on it, the easier it's going to go ahead and go through when chopping tasks there. The Gil Hibben is it's a 1/4 inch, and it tapers down, and it tapers down abruptly to an edge, as opposed to the other guys, which are a little thinner, which kind of hinder its cutting capabilities getting through there, which kind of amazed me. I figured the weight behind it would actually cause it to perform or surpass all the other ones there, but that's not the case, as you can see. So this is a pretty interesting test so far. This is pretty. Only the exterior of this branch was actually rotted a little bit. The inside. Well, that was the first one. I don't know if you guys can see that. Not too much rotting, and this is pretty hard, dense stuff. It's dried out for sure. Like I said, it broke off the tree, so it was dead. So it kind of amazed me that the Gil Hibben did not perform better than what it did, or that I expected anyway. As you can see, the weight, the brute force just causes it to break through that stuff, as opposed to slice through it. I don't see any rolling whatsoever on the edge of these whatsoever. So it's pretty interesting. there. I wish I had, well, we have the 2x4 to test here in a second, so I got to figure out how we're going to do that. So, pretty interesting so far. Give me 1 second. Alright, let's do this real quick just for shits and giggles. Gil Hibben, if I can get this. Definitely not catching it all on that. I'm sure if I had regular like printer paper, it'd be a different deal there. There we go. Look at that. Zombie War Sword. Going right across where we chopped, right in this area. No rolling. It's maintained its factory edge. Have not stropped this or tested it or done any touch-up sharpening. This is the first heavy-duty stuff I've done with this, so there you go with that. Warthog. Oh. Maybe some micro rolling, maybe. No? No? Maybe a little bit, but not much. No, actually, it is fine. I think it's just the fact that the wind's blowing and all that stuff is hindering my cut test here with the paper. Cheapy Chinese machete. Look at that. No problem. Like I said, side to side. Look at that. Pretty impressed. I don't know what steel this is made out of, but it actually handled this task no problem. Pretty amazing. We got 2x4 here. Let's do something real quick. Definitely, the girth of this the steel is definitely hindering the performance of this Gil Hibben for sure. Definitely, I'm sure with a thinner grind or maybe a full convex, or not a full convex, at least half convex up there would probably aid the performance of this knife for sure. So that's that. I don't want to go all the way through it because I think that's enough right there to kind of get the point across on that. The War Sword. Before I do that, go the opposite side there. Well, I mean, I could have kept on going and gone all the way through it. I just stopped probably a little bit sooner on the Gil Hibben because it was fighting me the whole way. I just, I would have been here for probably another 8 minutes trying to cut through with the Hibben, and I know this guy with another, with probably another. All right, guys, I'm back. I'm gonna have to probably edit it so we can get this in here. There you go, I had already started. there you go on that one. Not as good as the War Sword, but definitely better than Hibben. So, and last but not least, let's go ahead with the Chinese Machete. There we go. Did less time chopping on this guy, and pretty much went through as far as the Warthog dig. So that should tell you a whole bunch right there. So as far as how I'd rank it, surprisingly enough, the Zombie War Sword cut through and actually beat out the other knives. I'd say this one was first. Surprisingly enough, the Chinese Machete works second. I think it has to do all with the leanness of the grind for sure. And third, the Warthog. And unfortunately, last is the Gil Hibben, the Gil Hibben 4. I'm sure this knife would perform a lot better with a leaner grind. When I got it, it needed to be reprofiled for sure. I'd say. I could have done. This is definitely dying for a leaner profile on this for sure to enhance its cutting performance. But for 30 bucks, 35, 40 shipped to your house, not a bad. I mean, you'd really have to like it and want to get something like this for it to be worth your while. Definitely wouldn't take this on a camping trip to count on it to do chores like that. Because you just be there forever, and it weighing about 3 pounds doesn't really make any sense to go ahead and put this in your pack. I mean, 3 pounds. I mean, you could add a lot more useful tools and equipment for your camping trip for 3 pounds. I don't know the exact weight. This is lighter than all get out. So, I mean, I'd say something like this for your cutting tasks. If you didn't want to bring a hatchet with you, this would kind of suffice just fine. Ergonomically, it was great cutting. The Warthog, it would do it too. It would kind of serve your. It would kind of be able, if you were going to use this for cutting your wood, prepping wood for firewood, and then maybe using it for food prep also, then it would justify bringing this as opposed to the War Sword on there, maybe carrying both of these, because it's smaller enough where you can do your food prep and all that other good stuff. So yeah, definitely for that. If you had a secondary knife to accompany this guy, then this would maybe worth putting it in your pack. Although ergonomically, this thing was a pain in the butt swinging for sure. This was not comfortable in my hand swinging it. But I mean, this is a $15 or $20, Japanese or Chinese Machete, unknown steel, but it did perform. I have stropped this before and brought it to this razor edge, so. All in all, I definitely recommend the War Sword. It was pretty cheap, 50 bucks I think, something along there, maybe even cheaper than that. Definitely a good knife. I have no experience with the Becker BK9 or BK7, which may fill that role even better. But then again, if the BK 2.9 or 7s follow the same profile as the Warthog, they may not perform as well as that because of the weight, the lightness, the velocity that you can pick up swinging that one. But then again, the BK9 is a 9-inch blade, and it's a little thicker, so it may surpass this, but I don't have one. I wish I did to test it for you guys. So that's pretty much my cut test there for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or anything, please post them below. Appreciate the subscribers, and you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace. YouTube. After looking at the video, I noticed that when I was showing you guys the performance or the after effects of the cut test, it was out of frame. Like I filmed from my cell phone, so it's kind of hard. I mean, I only have so much of an area I could actually film. That, you know, it makes it really easy to go out of frame. So instead of doing the whole entire cut test again, because it's Monday, got to work tomorrow, pretty lazy. Just went ahead, I'm going to patch these videos together and that way show you the end results. Okay, first off, this first section right here was with the Gil Hibben. As you can see, it took a lot of effort to swing that 3-pound monster, and this is what it did in the time I cut with. And as you saw before, I just pretty much just gave up on it because I would have been in there for a long time to try to make it all the way through. Now, this right here was with the Warthog, and as you can see here, the cuts to this were a lot cleaner, and it did a lot more damage in far less time than the Gil Hibben did. I mean, it just chewed right through it. And like I said, that if I would have kept going, probably, because I mean we're almost just a little under halfway. If I would have kept going, within about I'd say 45 seconds to a minute's time, let's just say a little over a minute, I would have went through the 2x4 no problem. As you can see, the cuts are nice and clean. It had no problem. This is a pretty hard piece. This is a 2x4, so it's pretty demanding as far as on the performance of the knives or the blades there. So that right there was the Warthog, nice and clean. Over on this side, this right here was the Warthog. There again, the Warthog did put some work on this, no problems. You can see the cuts are still, they're not as clean as the zombie Warthog, because I definitely had to whack on it a little bit more to get to this point. But it did do all right. It went through. I went through halfway with it, and it seemed to do the job. Definitely, it being a little shorter, and the profile of the edge, or it being a little wider, kind of caused it not to perform as well as the Warthog. So you could see there. On this side, this was the Chinese, that Chinese Machete. See how the cuts are just all chewed up, man. It looked like a beaver chewed on that. Basically, because the Chinese Machete was lighter, I could sit there and just, you know, I swung way more with the Chinese Machete to get to this point than the other blades, because it was lighter by far than all the others, and that's why it's all chewed up and stuff. But you can see it did do its chore, went through half of it, and it actually outperformed the Warthog right there. Just simply, it had to definitely do with the length of the blade, being able to be able to swing it faster because of how light it was. So there's a couple different factors on it, and that's probably why it performed the way it did. The profile on the edge, or the thinness of the metal or the steel, definitely had a lot to prove in this cut test here. Like I said, the weight on it allowed me to put more force behind it. It cut through the wind like you wouldn't believe, and was able to cut away. It made it quicker. I could chop faster because it's lighter. I could cock it back right away. The weight had definitely a lot to do with it. Where the Warthog had a little bit more weight to it, and it had less blade, so probably less velocity in it, and that's why it did. But it did perform quite well. Then again, like I heard, the all-star of the day was the Warthog for sure. It had the best of all worlds there for sure. It had the thin profile. It was a lot lighter. Like I said, it was a thinner blade. I was able to move it and maneuver it, swing it a lot faster, and get more work done in less time with that knife. The Gil Hibben kind of failed, I would say. The weight of it, hindered the speed, or how many chops I can go into it, and the width of the blade definitely hindered how it was actually cutting through. There's a lot of friction there. The wider it is, the more friction, and that had a lot to do with how it performed. Just to give you a basic example here. I'll see if I can get this out. Excuse me, guys. Whack it real quick. Alright. There you go. Good example. That's the Gil Hibben right there. Alright. Zombie Warthog. Look at that. very, very thin. It is a third of the size or the width of the Hibben. The Warthog, a little bit more girth, little less than half the width of the Hibben for sure. And here you go, a Chinese machete. Basically, it's just a hair wider than your average kitchen cutlery, you know, just a little bit wider. So that right there that tells you everything right there. So anyway. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to add that little tidbit of the video there. That way you can actually see. As you can see there, I'm kind of editing it right now. I'm going to try to glue these all together. That way it's one video as opposed to part 1, part 2, and part 3. So, alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your input, comments, subscribing, everything. And I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope it kind of answers some questions. Maybe if you are on the edges, if you were on the border of ordering any of these knives here, you know now whether you want to or you don't want to. Zombie War Sword for $50 with the sheath, and it comes with an extra knife on top of that. Interchangeable handles. Coolness factor, definitely worth the money. If you can't afford a BK9 or a BK7, because they do end up being between the $70 to $90 range, $50 on the War Sword is a good compromise. So I would definitely recommend it for sure. It's a nice knife, and I think if you pick it up, you will enjoy it, whether, you know, even if it's just going to be a collector's piece, or if you're actually going to utilize it, take it on camping trips and all that other good stuff. So I hope this video answered some questions for you. I apologize for taking a little bit longer to get this out to you, but I actually found some time today to go ahead and do that for you. So guys, thanks for watching. Comments below, definitely appreciated. Subscribing, dude, if you like the video, subscribe. I appreciate it, guys. You have a good day. Peace.